everyone, and welcome back to the next episode of Ferry-Morse's 2025 Garden Get-Together series. I'm Rebecca, and I'm really excited to introduce you to our next guest, Brian of Redleaf Ranch. And he's going to share a little bit about his experiences managing his garden last summer. Let's take a look.
Hello everyone, I am Brian Briganti here at Redleaf Ranch, and I am so excited to be here for Ferry-Morse's annual Garden Get-Together. And I'm especially excited because you are joining us at the end of summer here at Redleaf Ranch, and there is so much happening in the garden. It's looking really lush this time of year. Now, before diving into our garden tour, I do want to speak on a very unique challenge that we had this season, which was different from any other growing season we've ever had. At the beginning of summertime, we actually faced a 6-week drought, which is not very common here. In the 5 years that we've been here, we've never experienced anything like that, especially at the beginning of summertime, and it really threw us for a loop. You know, early summer is when our hot crops are in their tender seedling stage, so they need a lot of moisture to get through that stage so that they can mature and get hardy to endure the intensity of the summer. So having to deal with that at the beginning of summer was quite stressful, and I had to be out here hand watering a lot more than I'm used to. I was watering daily, sometimes even twice a day. Now, there were a few things that I did to help mitigate how much I had to hand water. And the first, I do every single season, but this season it really proved how valuable it is, and that is mulching our garden beds. Mulching our beds is essentially adding a really nice thick layer of biomaterial, whether it's hay or wood chips, to help protect the soil from the harsh rays of the sun. And that essentially helps retain moisture within the garden bed because the soil isn't exposed directly to the sunlight, which would make the moisture in the soil evaporate a lot more quickly. So this year, I'm very sure it helped retain moisture. And even though I was still hand watering every single day, I know it really helped our plants get that extra moisture throughout the day. Another thing I was really sure to stay on top of this season was weeding. When other plants are introduced to the bed, naturally they're gonna also want moisture, which means competition for the plants you actually want to grow in those garden beds. So staying on top of weeding made sure that there was less competition within our beds, and our plants got every single precious drop of moisture that they needed. The last thing that I did is I actually got myself a nice little sprinkler. With the stress of everything that was happening at the beginning of summer and having to stay on top of watering, I really thought it was best to get something to help alleviate the pressure of hand watering. And I would always advocate for hand watering. It's one of my favorite things to do because it's my therapy. It's really nice to get out here, hand water every individual plant and be with my plants and present with my plants. But to really make sure they were getting everything they needed throughout the season, it was really nice to have this little sprinkler that I can just plop in the garden, leave for like half an hour to an hour in a specific area while I tended to other parts of the garden so that the plants were getting the moisture that they needed. If there's anything this year taught us is that it is so important to be adaptable throughout the garden season. You can plan for as much as you possibly can for a garden season, but Mother Nature will always throw you a curveball. So it's important to be adaptable. When you allow yourself to be adaptable, it's easier to flow through the season and whatever life throws your way. Now, because of this drought, I'm really starting to think about the future of Redleaf and what we can do to help us endure a drought if it were to ever happen again. So now I'm definitely thinking about getting a well so that we're not very dependent on external sources of water for what we need here in the garden, and probably getting irrigation as well. I never thought I'd hear myself say those words because, again, I really love to hand water, but when it comes to something as intense as a drought, hand watering might not be the most ideal way to make sure all of the plants get the moisture that they need.